morning. My name is Melissa Meeks, and we're getting ready to do another segment of our Southern Dash of This and That. And it's going to be a really stormy day here in the South, so I hope everybody will stay safe and sound. And that usually puts me in the kitchen wanting to do a little baking and cooking, so I'm going to see what we've got in our recipe box this go around. And this one's got a lot of recipe cards, so it is a little bit of an intense, but it is a wonderful classic cheesecake that I'm going to make. I've already got my ingredients out at room temperature, and we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. And we're going to get started. Hope your cup of coffee is good this morning as well. Well, we are going to move on to doing our graham cracker crust for that wonderful classic cheesecake. It calls for taking 10 sheets approximately of fresh graham crackers. I'm going to put them into my food processor so that I can pulse those into a fine little crumb. I really enjoy making a cheesecake. Back in the day, my friend Clarissa was just the best. I mean, she can make the best cheesecakes. I was always intimidated about making a cheesecake. And then when I started really studying the recipes, and of course I loved them, I figured I better get to learning how to make them. So what I did is I placed the 10 graham crackers down there. I'm going to put the lid on here just like so. And as you know, you're going to make sure that it locks down right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pulse this so that we can get all those graham crackers into a fine graham cracker crust. Beats having to sit there and do it myself. Okay, I'm almost there. And what we're going to do when we come back, we're going to go ahead and make our crust in just a few minutes. We have got our graham cracker crust crumbs ready to go. I'm pouring it into a medium-sized bowl here. And then I'm going to combine it with 1/4 cup of sugar. And then I just realized I need to melt my butter, so I'll be right back. Okay, I got my butter melted, and this is going to be 5 tablespoons of butter, unsalted butter. Put it right in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this up really well. And then we're going to put this in our springform pan, and this is one of our artware bakeware pans that I had designed back in the day for Lucy Buffett, her margarita cheesecake recipe, and we actually sold at her retail stores in Gulf Shores and Destin, and this was a really popular item, and we went on later to do real well with other retail areas, so looking forward to some new designs. It bakes and cooks very, very well, and we're going to do this classic cheesecake in a few minutes, and it's going to be put in a roaster pan, and it's going to have a water bath, and I highly recommend that. So here in just a few minutes, after I get this blended up, we'll be right back to show you how we're going to press this in the pan. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put in that combination of graham crackers with the 1/4 cup of sugar and 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And I'm going to make sure that I get all of that out. And to really do that, I guess I better get out my favorite spatula. So let me make sure I get all those graham cracker crumbs. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this and spread it out, and we're going to put them up on the sides just a little bit, and then as I spread this through, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I put it up onto the sides as well, so that we can press it in to make it a little firmer for our cheesecake. I'm not sure what flavors of cheesecake. I know a lot of people like to see them with chocolate chips and swirls in them and everything, but I'm just making a really good classic cheesecake that you can add any kind of toppings to. You could do a chocolate ganache sauce, strawberries, cherry salted caramel. Today we're actually going to do a raspberry sauce with fresh raspberries. I'm just in the mood for some raspberries. So we're going to go ahead and get this in there, and we'll come back and get this going with our cream cheese and cheesecake mixture. Jeff suggested that we get a close-up so that you can see how I'm packing all of that graham cracker crust down in there and making the sides. Good suggestion, Jeff. Okay, we have got our graham cracker crust into our springform pan. The good news about that is you don't have to pre-grease that pan. So once you get that, I'm going to set this aside, and we'll be talking about that in a few minutes, because we're going to be getting it prepped for a water bath, and that's going to include this aluminum foil. Our next step in our process for our wonderful tasty cheesecake is going to be the ingredients that I have set out at room temperature. I also preheated the oven at 350 degrees. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put our cream cheese into the bowl of a stand mixer. This may be a couple. I've got to take my time and get those put down in there. And make sure that you put your paddle attachment on, because we're going to cream this cream cheese. And it is the original, full of fat. Do not get the fat free for this wonderful cheesecake. We're going to be putting a cup of granulated sugar in there. And then we're going to lower this down and cream our butter and sugar together. And I'm going to make sure I lock that. I get a lot of comments and everything about my mixer. I am the artist for it. I hand painted all of the artwork on it. This one's called Vintage Kitchen is the design, and we actually did a whole full line of kitchen linens to match. So we're looking forward to getting into our new product line this coming 2020 year. So I'm going to turn this up just a little bit so that it can keep incorporating for a minute. While it is doing that, I guess you're wondering, why do I have these lemons out here? This is one of the really key ingredients to make it very tasty, and I recommend it. It's optional, but I highly recommend that you use it. We're going to squeeze the lemon juice here with the 1 cup of sour cream, and we're going to also add our sour cream in, our vanilla. So as soon as this gets almost there, it's fluffy, let me check on it and we'll see what we've got. Okay, now we're going to add 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice. I didn't strain those seeds out, so I'm making sure that I don't put those in there. We're also going to go ahead and add now our cup of sour cream. And make sure again that you use the full fat. Do not use the fat-free, because you want to make sure that you're getting the most creamiest cheesecake that you can. And even though you see Jeff and I really working and doing these creamy, calorie-full meals, we don't do this all the time. Back in the day we used to. We do try to make sure we do some grilling and you know, mostly chicken. And the other thing that's going on, and Jeff will tell you, it's really tough for him this time of year, is every January for about the last 5 years, I declare a cheeseburger-free January. So it's a challenge for us not to have any cheeseburgers, but I take it a little step further, and so far this year Jeff has too, where we're not doing any red meat. So for the whole month of January, that's why you're seeing a lot of my recipes with chicken and pork and seafood. That's the reason. Okay, back to our recipe. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to incorporate a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I've also got 3 eggs that we're going to incorporate now. I'm going to use the side of my glass here to do that. You want to incorporate those right into the mix as well, one at a time. Just going to put it right on the side there. And one more, it'll be 3. So we want to make sure that we get that all incorporated. I'm going to go ahead and take my spoon here and just make sure that I'm getting to the edges a little bit there. And I'm going to slow that down. As you can see, I don't want my paddle to get everywhere. I'm just going to scrape the sides to make sure that I'm getting all of my ingredients here. Alright. And I'm going to set that back down and start that back up. And now I'm going to pull it up a little bit on that medium speed so that that can incorporate. And when we come back, we're going to put the mixture in. Okay, one of the big secrets about this cheesecake too is not to overmix. You do not want to overmix. You just wanted to make sure that you just incorporated those last 3 eggs. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pour this into that prepared pan that we done earlier, where we had our graham cracker crust. And you can probably see, as I'm scraping the sides and putting this in here, you can see the aluminum foil. So what we're going to do is don't let, doing a water bath on a cheesecake intimidate you. A lot of people think, oh my goodness, your pan's going to leak. You wrap it in this tight foil. I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a minute. And then we're going to be placing it into a roaster. And you can either put it in the oven first and then add your hot water, or like I'm going to do, I'm going to put the hot water in first. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So once I get this all in here, we come back, we'll put the water bath together. One of the things that I try to do in between our takes here is I also clean as I go. And every time I get tickled, because I remember back in the day when we were growing up, every Sunday evening, well, every meal, my mom would ask us most of the time to do a chore, which would be to clean the dishes, wash the dishes. And I remember one particular afternoon, I just really didn't want to do that. And I remember moaning and groaning a little bit, saying, gosh, I wish we had a dishwasher. Because back in the day, sometimes money was tight, so you didn't do that. Plus, we learned a lot. And I remember my father saying, we have a dishwasher. I remember my sister and I looking around, we do. We were so excited. And he said, yes, you and you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take that aluminum foil. I'm going to wrap the bottom of the cheesecake pan really snug. And again, the whole reason is because you want it to be conducting the heat, the hot water we're getting ready to put in here. I had a pot in the background a few minutes ago, and that's what I was doing, was boiling the hot water. And you really want to make sure that you boil enough hot water. I'm just taking a little bit of that extra off so that you know that you have enough. Okay, and I'm finishing putting that foil around the bottom of it. I did a couple of sheets because, as you know, as this starts cooking in there, that water is going to start boiling. So later, you'll be taking a good look at your cheesecake to make sure it's not browning too fast, and you can actually make an aluminum tint. That's why I'm kind of folding this down. So what you want to do is make sure that you set this down right in the middle of a roasting pan. I'm going to pull this forward, and I've already got my hot water, and you want to pour this into like the sides of it, so it'll be about an inch when you get through. So just keep pouring until you see it come up to about an inch in the pan. There you go. I'm getting ready to put this in the oven. I've already been preheating at 350 degrees. I'm going to put it in the oven, and it's going to be put a timer for 55 to 70 minutes, and we will check back on it. I am going to go ahead and do my fresh raspberry sauce that I'm going to be using over my cheesecake. So what you want to do is have a small saucepan. I'm using raspberries, 2 cups of fresh raspberries. If you use frozen, don't thaw them out. There'll be 2 cups. So I just went ahead and squeezed out my lemon, because again I'm going to be using 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. And I'm finishing up doing some more fresh lemon. I'm going to need a teaspoon of lemon juice. Ooh, it smells so good. It always makes me think of spring. But of course we're into a winter day today, and we're expecting severe weather. So that's why I already have the cheesecake in the oven, and I'm getting ready to get my sauce done, because they are actually calling for us to maybe have some power outages. So I wanted to get that out of the way as well. I'm adding now a 1/4 cup of sugar, granulated sugar to it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place this on the stove, and then I'm going to stir it until it gets really thick over a medium heat and until it starts simmering. And then we're going to let it simmer for 5 minutes, and then we will remove, and then we will use a mesh strainer to get the seeds out. Yes, Jeff was back there behind the camera dancing. You don't want anybody to know that. I just wanted to come back real quick and let you know that we have gotten our raspberry sauce all done. I've strained it, and this was where I had to do a little southern dash of this and that because I didn't have my mesh strainer, but this will do in a pinch. This is actually a sifter that has a mesh bottom in it. So now I'm going to snap it into my handy dandy new storage containers and put it in the refrigerator, and we'll check on the cheesecake in a few minutes. Okay, I have peeled back all the aluminum foil where I have had this resting on the counter for an hour to cool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform this into a little caddy here. I think it'll fit. Yes. And I'm going to be putting it in the refrigerator. So Jeff will zoom in a little bit and show you how beautiful the cheesecake formed. It is smooth. There's not a break in it at all. And that's due to doing that water pan, the water bath with the Reynolds wrap. It is just wonderful. So later tonight, after we have dinner and we slice it, we'll come back and show that to you. Oh, we are so ready for our cheesecake. I just got it out of the refrigerator where it has been chilling for at least 4 hours. And I'm just cutting around from the sides here. And what we're planning to do is go ahead and release the pan so that we can take this away so you can see the cheesecake, how gorgeous it is. The springform pan, the artware bakeware pan that we do, this is probably about my 7th or 8th cheesecake I've made in this pan, and it's been to show with me and everything. But you see, it's good all the way around, and here in just a few minutes we're going to slice it and then we're going to plate it and enjoy us a big bite of it. There is our first slice of the cheesecake. We'll just kind of turn that, Jeff, and you get a good look in there what that looks like close up. This is our homemade raspberry sauce that I did. I'm going to drizzle this over the top of it. And then I'm going to try a bite for the cameras. Waited all day for this. Alright, now let me set this down. As you can see, I want you to get one more close up of that. Just look at that, how well it turned out. Gotta be careful, my pan's sliding around. Alright, thank you. That is scrumptious. Look at that layer. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and until our next episode of Southern Dash of This and That, I hope everything is a wonderful, sweet day.